people challenging every result in court, post-election unrest, all that, I blame the political class.
Okay.
I blame the political class.
So if you look at the circumstances and the background of these by-elections, I think you are seeing three things. One,
there was a time, I think it was in August 2022, where there was serious violence in one of your constituencies in Wajir, that was Eldas. And I think it caused the election to be suspended, if I'm not mistaken. What have you observed with all the claims of violence and the images that we've seen in Malava, a bit of Mbeere and other parts like Narok Town ward? What must we learn from this?
Well, we learn a lot from that. And honestly, it stems from the fact that we have reduced or we've made our electoral processes and elections into a do or die affair. That must be said and underlined very clearly. There's a lot of bickering ahead of the elections and a lot of emotional build-up, mostly by politicians, I must say. I don't blame the electorate, I don't blame the voters, I don't blame the Kenyan masses, because they are conditioned to that ahead of the elections. The us versus them narrative, which runs very deep in this country and in our politics. And the other problem also stems from the fact that we have life and politics are so intertwined in Kenya that anything regarding politics is regarded, you know, with a lot more seriousness than any other issue, maybe even the economical issues, social issues. And we saw a lot of conditioning and people being emotionally whipped ahead of the elections, you know, politicians making, you know, all this swearing, you know, to make whoever one term and all that, and the elections being, the by-elections being a litmus test for what is to come in 2027, which is just a political narrative anyway. So it was a do-or-die affair to the extent you could see big political figures roughing up, you know, civilians outside the polling stations. We saw those videos, we saw those pictures of people who we thought, you know, could lead Kenya, you know, and are ready to govern the country, you know, reducing themselves to goons, you know, outside. People being chased away from the polling stations just because they're wearing a certain color associated. I mean, it could be a wardrobe malfunction for that day, somebody just picking a jacket, you know, in the heat of the moment and finding themselves at the polling station. They shouldn't have been victimized for that. All stems from our political culture.
Right.
And a lot needs to be done if we are to move forward as the democracy we are, and if we are to move and progress forward from this violent election. And again, can't we hold elections where there are no disputes? Yeah. Every election season is punctuated with very long and litigious court processes. People challenging every result in court, post-election unrest, all that. I blame the political class.
Okay.
I blame the political class.
Right. After many years of witnessing, observing elections, training on them, what have we learned from these by-elections?
Thank you, Sam. Let me just clarify this, that I also sit here wearing the hat of ELOG as well, the Election Observation Group, right? And I think I want to begin this conversation by putting it squarely on the table, that what we are seeing are part of the challenges that we continuously witness when around our elections are what one would describe as systemic perennial challenges and weaknesses that continue to happen. And the bigger question, as we've started the conversation, is why do we continue having these challenges? And I think the conversation has to take place in the context of, one, the background of these by-elections, and the circumstances. Because you have to look at it holistically. It's not just about the E-Day, but it's about the processes leading to the E-Day and the processes immediately after, including the pursuit for electoral justice that my colleague has talked about. So if you look at the circumstances and the background of these by-elections, I think you are seeing three things. One, the evolving nature of the politics that we are having in the country, which is increasingly becoming violence by the day. You know, it's no longer a competition that we know or should know, but in an environment where we are increasingly seeing political posturing that is creating an environment for violence. You know, the competition is no longer the sober competition that we'd like to see. That is one. Number two is that we are seeing this by-election in the context of a newly, created electoral commission that is yet to learn, some of these things in terms of proper management and conduct of the elections. I think if you look at the commission itself, there is only one commissioner, perhaps, whose you can argue has had experience with political electoral processes, that is Commissioner Ruto, who is coming from a political party's background. Beyond that, the rest are newly people who are coming in as new faces to this and are yet to learn. And so this was just the first encounter with the elections, our Kenyan elections, that is always increasingly becoming very bruising to actors, and requires a very effective and assertive manager. And that is what we are yet to see, that the IEBC coming to terms. And this was baptism with fire for them. They are yet to come to terms with the actual characteristics of our elections and learn how to manage and properly assert their authority over it. And the next thing is about the people that we are talking about. And the people can be categorized into a number of segments. The Gen Zs are one of them, right? The political actors is another, and then the general behavior of the Kenyan voter, which Franklin has described very well, is horrible. We are yet to mature, we are yet to sober. But we sometimes look at this and see a deliberate kind of behavior, people just behaving badly, politically, and that is what we see in the by-elections when Franklin was talking about violations of the secrecy of the ballot. And so for me, out of these by-elections, there are three things that I have seen. One, the systemic perennial challenges and weaknesses that, although they did not in overall sense undermine the credibility of the outcome, they speak to so many things that we need to do. That is one thing. Number two, the bad behavior of our political actors on the one hand and voters on the other. Right? Where we see violence instead of sober, mature politics that is competitive, that is issue-based, and that delivers for the people who are voting. On the other hand, then on the part of the voters, where we see apathy, the Gen Z, for example, shunning these by-elections, when in fact we were expecting them to begin to stamp their issues across the democratic governance platform in terms of what they want. Then this is how to make their voice become clear by asserting that voice through the ballot. They fail to do so. So I think this is also something that needs to be investigated in terms of research to establish what the reasons are why there is an agitation for the Gen Z's voice to be on the table on the one hand. But when there is an opportunity for that voice to be felt through a democratic means, then they sit back. That is a bigger question. And number three is the question of management. The IEBC right? We have to remember that this is not the first time we are having by-elections. And normally in by-elections, they are characterized by low voter turnout. But this one was lower, below 50% threshold.
Yep.
So you ask yourself, what is the issue here? Is it failure, lapses on the part of the management body that is not exciting Kenyan citizens enough to be able to tell them that, look, this is about your sovereign power? Because that is it. It's about the sovereignty of the people. People being able to speak through the ballot to make their choices clear and to be able to be part of the political governance by selecting or electing the leadership that they want.
Okay.
And if they don't do so, then they are subverting their own sovereignty.
All right.
Right.